Good morning, Andy Lockwood here, releasing another video about the art of the college deal, all about negotiations. And I've been getting just so many questions about how to possibly get more money from colleges during the coronavirus era. Number one, I have a webinar set up for Monday night, which I think I forgot to do this, but I'll post a link for that on this page. Number two, I thought it would just be good to answer a bunch of questions and give you some real life examples that I've been working through here in the salt mines at Lockwood College Prep. So just let me take a quick sip to steel myself. That's STEEL. If you're keeping score at home. All right, so 5 ways to fail at your college negotiation. Okay, the first failure is just making a bad argument. So in negotiations, and I covered this in my previous video if you're subscribed. By the way, if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do that now. That'll help you every time I have new information to release. So I talked about good arguments yesterday, I believe, and I brushed on some bad arguments, but let me focus on the bad ones right now for the sake of this video and to not be repetitive. So first of all, admissions officers have what they refer to as their nomenclature is professional judgment, to be able to consider certain circumstances that did not appear on the financial aid forms, on the FAFSA, on the CSS profile, or any other forms that your college may require. Colleges have different requirements. Some require just the FAFSA, some the FAFSA plus the CSS profile, and other combinations. Now, what are those special circumstances that they would consider? Well, one of them would be a huge drop in income. Again, I talked about this before, but if you have someone graduating 2020, the income that they're looking at is from your tax return from 2018. And if you've been affected by coronavirus or any other types of setbacks or market conditions in the interim, they would know about that. So let's talk about some bad arguments. One bad argument is, well, I'm nervous about something that might happen in the future. I've talked to a couple of families in the past week when I'm trying to help them appeal to get some more money. And I'm asking them, do you have any types of coronavirus or other related income setbacks? And quite a few of them, more than a couple, have said, well, things don't look so great now at the company. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. They're talking about a 10% reduction. They're talking about furloughing. They might, give a 50% pay cut or lay me off entirely. So you can't use that in an appeal because that's a future contingency. Financial aid officers care first and foremost about what happened 2 years ago in terms of your income. They will certainly give you the leeway to update them if something has changed, but they're not really going to do much about what could happen in the future other than say, sorry to hear that. If that should occur, then you should come back and let us know, and we'll see what we can do. All right, so that is an example of a bad argument because it's something that happens in the future. Here's another bad argument. I mentioned this yesterday, which was, well, we live in a very expensive area, and even though we make a high income, it doesn't really go too far. Yeah, well, they know that already. That's not new information. They see your financial aid application, your address, etc. All right. Let's move on to the second way to fail in your college negotiation. Number 2 is your college just doesn't have that much money. So many times parents are shocked when they don't get offers that they thought that they deserved. And usually those thoughts are not based on any thinking about or analysis of the actual financial aid formulas and their expected family contribution, which is based on their income and their savings, etc. So a feeling that you should deserve more money is not going to really go too far, first of all. Second of all, most state schools, even before coronavirus happened, were really bad with financial aid. That's been a trend that's happened over the last at least 15 years as state governments have been pulling away their funding for their respective state governments for a long time. So just because you show what you feel is a low income doesn't mean every college across the board that your child got into is going to bend over backwards and give you money, because many times whether you get aid or not, and this is the same for merit-based aid too. So I'm talking about both forms, the need-based aid, which is based on your income and your savings and filling out financial aid forms, as well as other aid, which is based on grades and scores. In many cases, your ability to get money has nothing to do, or has very little to do, with how you look on paper or your child looks scholastically. It's more about what pond you're fishing in, what schools you're applying to, because some colleges are a lot more generous than others. So if you have a junior or a sophomore and you are thinking about your college list, keep this in the back of your mind, when you construct your final list, it's a good idea to have a handful of schools on there that are going to be generous to your student and your family. And that requires a little bit of research and thinking to do that. All right. That was the second way to fail. The third way to fail. Okay. This is kind of hard for me to say in a nice way, which, obviously I care about. A lot of times parents approach financial aid officers with the wrong tone. And I'm not singling you out for watching this, because chances are, if you're watching this, that means you are a learner and you are open to new ideas and you want to do things the right way. So you're not the type of parent who would call up a financial aid officer and be very aggressive and adversarial and throw stuff at them like, how the hell do you think I can afford to blah, blah, blah? Look at my tax returns. You tell me what orifice I'm going to pull this money out of. How do you justify charging, $75,000 a year when my child can get the same education at such and such college for, half the price? Those arguments are not going to work. You may think them privately. I may not even disagree with you, but I wouldn't voice that publicly to someone I'm trying to convince. I'm trying to win friends and influence people to give me more money. So don't try the adversarial route. And if you think I'm just making this up and no one would be that stupid to do this, think again. Everything I'm saying here is based on real world experiences. I'm not making any of this up. This is not theoretical. We help a couple hundred clients a year, many times with this aspect, with negotiating. Okay, now mistake number 4. Mistake number 4 is not understanding what colleges refer to as preferential packaging. So in short, even if a college claims it is need blind, meaning they only look at your credentials to get in, and then whether you need money is separate, notwithstanding any other sort of lofty rhetoric on a college's website about how they want to make sure no one has to borrow or etc. Colleges engage in a practice of preferential packaging. Many colleges do. I mean, it could be all. What that means is the kids they want more get more money, even if it's need-based, even if it's ostensibly based only on your income and savings, etc. So we've seen this already this year. We see this every year. Kids who barely get in to schools that would otherwise be generous, meaning they are not in the top 10%, not top 15%, or somewhere in that upper echelon. It's the opposite. They have to scratch and claw and beg, borrow, and steal their way to get in. Those kids usually get crappy financial aid packages, and the parents wonder why. It's because of this preferential packaging. I would say 95 times out of 100. So a good strategy is to apply to a healthy set of schools where they will roll out the red carpet for you, where they will be the ones begging, not the other way around. They'll be chasing your child, not the other way around. In this coronavirus era, I think everything should be on the table for juniors and sophomores, especially in terms of applying to schools that are going to give you the best deals. So if you're in the top 10 to 15% of the incoming cohort or the applicant pool, which you can kind of back into, you can kind of figure that out by looking at last year's average grades and scores and of the admitted kids and how many were admitted, and then you can figure it out that way. if you're in the top 10, 15%, there's a very good chance that school will want you, and they will be a lot more generous, and they will prefer you. They will engage in preferential packaging. Alrighty, I'm on the last one here. The fifth way to fail. I try not to be negative, but my point here is that if you avoid these failures, then you could have positive results. At least you will tilt the odds in your favor. No one has a magic wand, particularly me. I write many appeal letters where I say to the parents, look, I don't think we have a decent shot, but hey, why not? That's sort of my method going forward, or my thought process, I should say. But the last way to fail is by not trying at all. Because in many cases, parents don't even know that the award that they received is actually an offer. It is not a final award. It is not you get what you get and you don't get upset. Anything you receive from a college in terms of money can be negotiated. Doesn't mean it's going to succeed, but you should at least try. There is no downside to trying, except, and I was actually just finalizing, sidebar here, I was just finalizing a book on college negotiating that is being reviewed right now at Amazon. Then I'll be running a promo on it. I said exactly that in the book. Everyone should try no matter what. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, I know of one situation where you should not try to appeal for more money. And I told the story of a client of ours who got some really bad advice from another college advisor, a person who specialized in the financial aid forms. I'm not going to give any details, but he's in another state. She's local to me, but she was referred to someone in a different state. And the gist of it was the guy said, look, I know you have these assets. And in this case, the client had a couple $1 million in CDs, but you have borrowed against those CDs. The backstory here is that the client is in the construction business, and instead of borrowing from banks for mortgages at a higher rate, they would use their own collateral, which resulted in lower interest rates to them. So the advice was, even though you have $2 million in CDs, the fact that you can't access it because you've borrowed against them would make it just easier to not disclose them at all on your financial aid forms, because they net each other off, the asset and the liability. I actually see the logic there. That's just not the right thing to do, but I do see the logic. I don't think that was evil or immoral or unethical advice. I just think it's wrong. So long story short, that's what happened. Her child applied to colleges, and he got into a bunch of really good schools, including one of his top choices, or maybe his top choice college, which is an elite Northeastern liberal arts Jesuit college. And she got a nice award, about $15,000. And then she went back, following advice, similar advice that I give, and asked them to reevaluate her award and ask for more. Normally, I would say everyone should do this. In this case, the college came back to her and said, we took a closer look at your financial aid applications and your tax returns, and we saw online, I think this is a few years ago, online 8A, a bunch of dividends that you had earned on some investments. But then when we went through the rest of the financial aid applications, we saw that you'd put down 0 for your assets. So we don't see how you possibly could have generated these, it wasn't dividends, it was interest. So what's going on? And ultimately, they took the money away. They took the $15,000 award from her after they scrutinized her applications. So that's the only situation where you should not ask for more money. It's if you've done something kind of funky on the applications, which we, of course, never recommend when we fill out financial aid applications for our clients. Sometimes people say, well, if I ask for more money, could they rescind the offer for admission? The answer is no. There's two separate things. I would make the argument that it's almost like a contract where there's an offer and an acceptance, or an offer that can't be rescinded unless you hear back. If they say, listen, you have to let us know by May 1st to send in your housing deposit, and you try to negotiate it, and if they were to say, oh, wait a minute, you're trying to ask us for more money, forget it, there'd be all kinds of lawsuits, because it's not a conditional acceptance. So I hope you found these 5 ways to fail at college negotiating helpful. They're all based on true stories. I do have a training class on how to negotiate, how to appeal a financial aid offer or merit aid offer. That link is listed right here on this page. And I'm going, after I finish this video, I'm going to put up the link for the upcoming webinar that we have. I'm not sure when you're going to be watching this. So the webinar link may not work by the time you see this. And I'm coming out with a book momentarily on how to negotiate your crappy financial aid and merit-based award in the coronavirus era, in these turbulent times. So please please share this with anyone you think could use this information. Please pop in your comments here. Let me know if there's something on your mind, any questions that you have. If they're general questions, I'm happy to answer them. If they're ultra specific to your situation, I'm probably not going to answer it, because this page is really for just general information. It's not for free specific advice that we offer as part of our services. But if you have a question that pertains not only to you, but to other people, there's a very good chance that we will answer it here. Okay. Thanks for watching, and have a great day and rest of your week. Bye-bye.